story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
This is CoreTV News on the hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. The new central bank governor Godwin Emefiele has addressed a world press conference in the nation's capital, Abuja. He promised to put an end to the controversial charges on cash deposits introduced by the former governor Lamido Sanusi. According to the new governor, the Apex Bank will immediately stop banks from imposing charges on cash deposits. However, banks are to maintain the current rate of 3 and 5% for individual and corporate transactions exceeding 500,000 and 3 million naira respectively. The Federal Executive Council has approved a $242 million World Bank loan for the Lagos State government. The facility, according to the Minister of Information, Labaran Marco, is in support of the state's development policy. He told journalists that at the end of the West East Council meeting that the fund forms part of a total loan package of $600 million aimed at improving public finance, sustenance of rapid growth, as well as increased access to quality secondary education in Lagos.
Is the warrantor, and we indeed, as a federal government, have continuously supported Lagos by providing the warranty for the loan, by ensuring negotiations with the World Bank and agencies to ensure that the loan is granted to Lagos State to support its own development. And in this instance, the federal government continues to support Lagos because of its importance in the economy, and also because the president has a policy of ensuring that every state is supported to develop the economy of Nigeria.
Lagos State government had in 2010 secured World Bank approval for $600 million for infrastructure development from its subsidiary, the International Development Association. The House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources blasted oil sector officials during an interactive enlightenment workshop on Petroleum Industry Bill in Abuja. The House Committee Chairman Dakuko Peterside, who was visibly angry with the magnitude of corruption in the oil and gas sector, said that 0.005% of Nigerians enrich themselves with the nation's oil money at the detriment of the larger masses. The workshop was organized by Unite Consult Limited to highlight the gains of the PIB if passed by the National Assembly, while trying to explain that why the PIB had not been passed. Peterside says many Nigerians were of the view that once the bill scales through, all the problems in the oil and gas sector would be solved. It charged the organized labor to hold government accountable for the issues in the oil sector, stressing that the industry remains the major economic backbone of Nigeria. The Senate has paved way for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister political parties which failed to win at least a seat in the State House of Assembly. Senators voted unanimously to include this clause in the Nigerian Constitution during a clause-by-clause consideration of proposed amendments. The Senate also voted to include the current Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, as well as former occupants of the 2 seats in the National Council of States. At the end of the session, Senate spokesman Enyinaya Abaribe briefed journalists on the process.
And they felt that they needed to give them 21 days, which is what was also passed today. Also, with respect to elections and with respect to electoral offences, what was passed also, the other clause, was that all matters relating to electoral offenses will now have to be taken only by federal high courts. And of course, the question of the National Council of State. As of today, in all the arms of government, former National Council of State. So that's why former presidents are there, former chief justice of the Federation. But for the legislative arm, with an arm of government, the former heads of these institutions are also not there. So the amendment that was passed today was to the effect that former speakers and former presidents of the Senate are now members of the National Council of State. So they have.
Meanwhile, INEC says voter education is critical in ensuring the success of the 2015 general elections. Speaking at the opening of a two-day retreat of the National Interagency Advisory Committee on Voter Education and Publicity, Jega says there is still an intolerably high percentage of corruption, vote buying, snatching of electoral materials, intimidation and a threat, among others. He urged the meeting not to shy away from acknowledging existing shortcomings, but rather confront them to meet the aspiration of the people. A former Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, Tom Adaba, called on INEC and media organs of the country to make voter education a continuous process rather than the current periodic exercise. He says there is a need for collaboration between INEC and the media to make debates among the various political parties a regular and possibly mandatory one from presidency even to the local government. And now to Anambra State, where the governorship election petitions tribunal in Awka has upheld Governor Willie Obiano's election and dismissed 4 petitions filed against him by other candidates. The tribunal chairman, Justice Ishak Bello, held that the petitions of Chike Obidigbo, belonging to a faction of APGA, Chris Ngege of APC, Tony Owoye of PDP, and the PDP lacked merit. Bello, in 4 separate judgments, held that Obiano's election complied substantially with the Electoral Act 2010 and the 1999 Constitution. The judge further discountenanced the allegation of multiple registrations of the multiple against Obiano for lack of evidence by the petitioner. On Igege's petition, he held that the petitioner's witnesses failed to produce the voters' register to explain or demonstrate how they were disenfranchised in the election. The judge said only INEC could prove the falsification of its document, adding that the petitioner's failure to call INEC to give evidence was fatal to the case. In Lagos State, Governor Babátúndé Fáṣọlá has advised Nigerians to vote leaders that will make life more meaningful for the masses. Fáṣọlá gave the advice at the 4th draws of the Lagos Homes Ownership Mortgage Scheme, when 92 homeowners emerged. He says Nigerians should prepare to elect leaders that will sustain the ongoing development in the country.
I believe that democracy has meaning. I hope that some of the people who benefited today voted. If they did not vote, I hope that they will be inspired to vote at the next elections. I hope that they will be able to see the difference between a committed government and a government that does not care. And I hope that on election day, they will not be too tired to go and cast their votes. Especially for those of them who did not vote, they may never have witnessed this day if some people did not vote for me.
The flag bearer of the Labour Party in the June 24th Ekiti governorship election, Opeyemi Bamidele, has unveiled the manifesto of his party in Ado-Ekiti. The manifesto is tagged Healing the Broken Heart. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
Labour Party stalwarts at the unveiling of the manifesto says it's a breakaway from the norm in Ekiti politics, hence signaling the beginning of a new era.
What we are doing today is to sign a contract with our people, a social contract. That is what will guide us in the 4 years administration.
By the grace of God, a new chapter is open in the life of a chapter of blessings, a chapter of progress, a chapter of all the good things of life that are entitlement that you have been denied.
The manifesto is tagged Healing the Broken Heart. It contains the governing plan of the Labour Party. The party says Okpeyemi Bamidele will execute to the letter the content of the manifesto if elected. Strategists and research experts who were involved in the articulation of the blueprint say it's an overall developmental document that will take Ekiti to the next height if truly implemented.
That we are gathered here today for this public presentation of not just a candidate manifesto, but also one codified in one official document reveals in bold relief that the candidate in question cannot be categorized among those kind of accidental leaders. From the document he has presented before us, I make bold to say that Honorable MOB easily comes across as a leader who knows his onions.
The governorship candidate Okpeyemi Bamidele promised Ekiti people that he will not deviate from the blueprint.
It's not a razzmatazz. This is a very serious business. We are bringing sobriety to governance. We are bringing experience to governance. We are going to treat governance as if it is science. And by the grace of God, this is the blueprint.
The step taken by the Labour Party and its candidate is expected to change the way political parties are going to handle the few days left for campaigns before the election. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
President Goodluck Jonathan has forwarded the name of former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarau to the Senate for confirmation as minister. Shekarau is one of the 3 people on a ministerial list read on the floor of the Senate by Senate President David Mark. The others are former Afenifere spokesman Dayo Adeyeye representing Ekiti State, Abdul Bulama, Yobe State, and Stephen Oru from Delta State. The Senate, however, has not fixed a date for the screening of the ministerial nominees. The Nigerian authorities have decided to withhold information on efforts to rescue hundreds of schoolgirls abducted by insurgents from Chibok in Borno State over 51 days ago. Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Michael Mary, says it would be counterproductive to go public with such information. He added that the government has not abandoned people affected by recent activities of Boko Haram insurgents.
The distribution of relief materials, the federal government has made efforts at reaching out to affected communities in the Northeast. And it has also successfully delivered materials through National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. NEMA had visited Chibok and Gamboru. It has also visited parts of Yobe State, Kano and Jos. Ladies and gentlemen, on Chibok, we wish to assure Nigerians that efforts are ongoing towards rescuing the girls. And please note, as we have repeatedly said, it will not be in the interest of the operations to disclose every detail, but be assured that citizens will be briefed appropriately as developments unfold in this regard.
Michael Mary, Director General, National Orientation Agency. Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi has mediated in the crisis rocking the state's chapter of the National Union of Farmers. The governor on the occasion stressed the need for farmers to be united in purpose since Ekiti State economy is agro-allied based. Rashid has details.
The state is renowned for her prowess in the agricultural sector of the Nigerian economy. The state prides itself on cash crops such as cacao, coconut and cashew, which account for over 20% of Nigeria's non-oil revenue. No doubt, the present administration in Ekiti places high premium on agriculture with massive investments in this sector. Judy Shafe, Ekiti State Commissioner for Agriculture, explains the commitment of government to both small and large-scale farming in the state.
For farmers in Ekiti State to think where or to occupy where they belong to. And today marks another wonderful day where the right window for farmers in Ekiti State to key into the transition program of moving from peasant farming operation to commercial farming operation will be open.
The State chairman of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria thanked the governor for his support for farmers, particularly for his intervention in settling the rift that nearly tore Ekiti State farmers apart.
In my inaugural speech after our election into office, I made it clear that the newly elected Urban Executive in the state shall leave no stone unturned in ensuring that farmers in the state speaks with one voice, so that we benefit from the various programs of the government at all levels in this country. I am pleased to announce today that farmers in the state are now united and has given birth to this unique occasion.
Fayemi in his speech vowed to make agriculture in the state lucrative to the level of making it a source of employment for all and sundry.
I make bold to say that this administration is doing everything possible to give a major entry as the main employer of labor and leading source of our internally generated revenue.
As part of his promise and resolve to provide succor for farmers, facilities to make farming easy was distributed to farmers and farming agents at the occasion. The governor went further to distribute intervention loan powered by the Bank of Agriculture to farmers.
Already, we have about 16 hectares of maize. This 1 million naira will boost the projects, so that we thank the executive governor.
This will assist me a lot because formerly I have been working alone without any laborers. So with this now, I can employ as many as laborers.
Will it be said that the gesture was centered around the re-election bid of Kayode Fayemi? This is hard to say. However, Fayemi used the occasion to solicit the support of farmers for his re-election, and the beneficiaries of his kind gesture equally promised to vote for the APC. The reality of this promise will only be confirmed with the result of the June 21st governorship election. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
We'll take a break now to bring you a couple of messages, and we'll be back with more stories shortly. Stay with us.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Glad to have you back. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit us on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow us on our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. As well as on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV and News. Speaker of the Syrian parliament has announced President Bashar al-Assad as the winner of the presidential election conducted in the country on Tuesday. Syrian Constitutional Court put the vote turnout at 73.47%, and Assad secured 88.7% of the total votes cast in an election conducted in only government-controlled areas of the nation. The north and east of the country under rebels' control were completely exempted from the poll. President Assad's key challenger, Hassan al-Nouri and Maha Ajar, received 4.3% and 3.2% of the votes, respectively. It was the first time in decades that more than one person outside of the Assad family had been allowed to stand as presidential candidate. But Assad's critics and the Syrian opposition in rebel-held areas have dismissed the election as a farce, arguing that it has no credibility in the midst of a civil war. The opposition allies in the West also denounced the ballot, with the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry on a visit to neighboring Lebanon, describing it as meaningless. United States President Barack Obama has condemned the dark tactics and aggression of Russia in Ukraine after meeting Kiev's president-elect Petro Poroshenko and promising him of years of U.S. support. Adopting the mantle of leader of the West, Obama hailed Poland for building a thriving democracy 25 years after elections which fractured communism as part of a European tour dedicated to bolstering NATO defenses and resolve. He says the country's long struggle against occupation and tyranny is mirrored in the plight of Ukraine a quarter century later, which showed freedom is still under threat. Obama also offered a robust security guarantee to fellow NATO members who feel threatened by Russian moves.
How can we allow the dark tactics of the 20th century to define this new century? I met with President-elect Poroshenko this morning, and I told him that just as free nations offered support and assistance to Poland in your transition to democracy, we stand with Ukrainians now. Ukraine must be free to choose its own future for itself and by itself. We will not accept Russia's occupation of Crimea or its violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. Our free nations will stand united so that further Russian provocations will only mean more isolation and cost for Russia.
The Taliban has released dramatic footage of the handover of Army Sergeant Bowe Begdal to United States forces after 5 years in captivity. It shows a U.S. military headquarters landing in a valley, kicking up small clouds of dust as a jittery-looking Begdal waits just a few feet away, flanked by militants clutching a white flag. After a brief exchange of handshakes between insurgents and U.S. soldiers, Begdal moves unsteadily towards the helicopter. His release, however, has evoked sharp criticisms from some U.S. politicians who fear they could return to the battlefield and pose a threat to Americans living abroad. U.S. defense officials have said dozens of U.S. Special Forces troops, backed up by helicopters, were seen for the handover. Begdal is now being treated at a U.S. military facility in Germany. That's it on CoreTV News at this hour. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Do join us again at the top of the hour for more stories.